The blizzard howled through the night like a beast in pain. The power lines had gone dead hours ago, and the world outside was nothing but a white blur of snow and fear. In a small wooden cabin at the edge of Montana's frozen wilderness, a single mother named Claire tightened the blanket around her sleeping 8-year-old son, Tommy. Every gust rattled the windows. Every creak of the old roof made her heart skip. She had no one to call for help, no husband to lean on, and only enough food for 2 days. The storm wasn't just outside, it had been inside her heart ever since she lost her husband in a highway accident 3 winters ago. But that night, as the wind screamed and snow danced like ghosts outside, something else came, the sound of roaring engines. Dozens of them. Headlights flickered through the curtain of snow like fireflies, then stopped in front of her cabin. Claire's heart pounded. She looked through the frosted window and saw dark figures, leather jackets, helmets, patches glinting under the snow. Bikers. 20, maybe 25 of them. Lost, freezing, stranded in the storm. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing good even when it's hard, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. These are the stories that remind us that the smallest act of love can change 1,000 lives. Claire hesitated, her hand trembling on the doorknob. Every movie she'd ever seen told her not to open the door to bikers in the middle of the night. But then she saw one of them collapse in the snow. That was all it took. She ran to the door, yanked it open, and the freezing wind slammed into her face. The man lying in the snow looked barely conscious, his beard crusted with ice. She and another biker dragged him inside. His body was heavy, limp with exhaustion. Soon, others followed, one after another, 25 in total, all shivering, faces red from the cold, breath steaming. Her cabin, once silent and lonely, was suddenly alive with noise, heavy boots on wood, gloves clapping, men rubbing their hands near the small fireplace. Some sat on the floor, others stood awkwardly, unsure if they should be there. Claire could feel her fear wrestling with compassion. She was a lone woman with a child, surrounded by 25 strangers, but as she looked at them, she realized they weren't what she expected. There was pain in their eyes. Gratitude. One of them, a tall man with gray in his beard, whispered, "You just saved our lives, ma'am." The storm outside worsened. Hours passed. She gave them soup, coffee, blankets, everything she had. She watched them eat quietly, humbly. Some prayed before eating. Tommy peeked out from behind the couch, curious, unafraid, and one of the bikers, a young man with tattoos on his arms, handed him a small toy motorcycle from his jacket pocket. "My kid's too old for it now," he said softly. "Yours should have it." That night, Claire realized something she hadn't felt in years, safety in numbers. The bikers took turns keeping the fire alive, fixing the leaks in the roof, even clearing the snow that threatened to trap the cabin. They were rough on the outside, but gentle with her boy, respectful with her space, and grateful beyond words. By morning, the storm had finally passed. The world was covered in a thick, white silence. One by one, the bikers thanked her and prepared to leave. The leader, the gray-bearded man named Hawk, told her they were part of a group called Iron Souls, a club of veterans and ex-mechanics who rode cross-country for charity and brotherhood. They had been on their way to deliver supplies to a remote orphanage when the blizzard trapped them. He pressed a card into her hand. "If you ever need anything, you call us," he said, before riding off into the distance with the others. Claire watched them disappear into the forest road, feeling strangely empty. The cabin was quiet again, except for Tommy's soft breathing and the crackle of the fire. She didn't think she'd ever see them again. 2 weeks later, bills piled up again. Her old truck broke down, the generator failed, and she was once more facing the cold, this time without firewood or hope. The town was 20 miles away, and her phone had barely 1 bar of signal. In desperation, she remembered Hawk's card. Her hand trembled as she dialed the number. A gruff voice answered, "Iron Souls." She hesitated, explained who she was. The line went silent for a moment, then Hawk's voice came through, "Hang tight, Claire. We'll take care of it." That night, as the wind began to rise again, Claire stood on her porch, wrapping her shawl tight. She thought maybe one or two of them might show up with some help. But as the sun rose the next morning, she heard it, the thunder of engines again. She stepped outside, and her breath caught. More than 200 bikers surrounded her cabin, their leather jackets glistening with frost, their engines rumbling like a promise. The road was filled with motorcycles, Iron Souls patches shining under the weak winter sun. They brought everything: firewood, food, new tires for her truck, tools to fix her generator, even Christmas gifts for Tommy. Some had driven hundreds of miles overnight. Hawk dismounted, walked up to her, and said, "You opened your door to us when no one else would. We don't forget that." Tears streamed down Claire's face as she watched them unload boxes, laughing, working together like family. For the first time since her husband died, her cabin wasn't lonely anymore. It was alive, filled with warmth, laughter, and the roar of engines that somehow sounded like music. By the time they left that afternoon, the cabin looked brand new. They left behind a stack of wood taller than her roof, a generator that worked perfectly, and a heart full of gratitude that would never fade. Before leaving, Hawk handed her a patch, a small embroidered symbol of their club. "You're one of us now," he said, "the kind of person who makes the world less cold." That night, as the sky turned orange and the last bikes disappeared into the distance, Claire sat by the fire, holding Tommy close. The snow had stopped falling, and in that silence, she finally felt something she hadn't in years: peace. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Every click helps us share more real, moving stories about love, kindness, and humanity that the world needs right now. Speech balloon special request: comment below what you would have done if 25 freezing bikers knocked on your door that night. Would you open it?